coming back tomorrow. I know Kevin was a partial participant. Just what does that change for you guys?
You know, until they're back, which I don't know if they are 100% back yet, but until they're back, we got to keep having that even when they're back, we got to have next man mentality. So obviously you want all your guys to be healthy and pray that happens the whole year. But the game's about injuries at times, and so we got 17 guys, or 18 guys, whatever we have. So the next guy has to be ready to step up, and you know, the guys that have been playing have done a pretty good job of trying to fill the void.
Assuming you went back and watched some of that Denver game, just what did you kind of emphasize to the team?
I just thought, especially in the first quarter, you know, we weren't locked in on the small things. I mean, the way they scored in the paint in that first quarter was inexcusable. And I would be interested to hear if any of our guys think any different. The paint points that they got, you know, it was just way too easy. And, you know, one of the things we told the guys, we said, hey, we're 3-9 in games decided by 5 points or less. And not just against, you know, quote-unquote great teams. You can mix in some teams that don't have good records in there. And, you know, for us to be 3-9 in those games when we have two of the most clutch guys on offense in the game, that means, A, we're not starting the game right, and teams that shouldn't be in the game with us at that point have confidence. Players have confidence because the game was too easy to begin with, all right? Because we didn't pay attention to the details, go out there and hit first and establish and/or set the tone. So now they got confidence that's hard to shut off. That's why they're in the NBA. And then second, we're going through these lulls that we have to change. We have to lock in and focus for as close to 48 minutes as possible. Otherwise, we'll be good and we'll be bad. We'll be good, we'll be bad. And at the end of the game, who knows what can happen? You have the two most clutch offensive players. That means we got to get stops because we're going to find a way to score. I think we scored 9 points in the first 8 minutes, hypothetically, of the Denver game. We ended up with 124 versus a pretty good defensive team. So for us, again, I say this, we're going to find ways to score. But can we lock in and defend, especially embracing the details that you need to embrace to be a pretty good team on that end of the floor? Can we do it for 48 minutes? That's what our challenge is through most of the nights.
And with it being a game of runs, I mean, even the great teams you've been on, I'm sure, you know, can't do it for 48 every single night. But how do you see the great teams you've been on respond to limiting those moments?
Well, that's why I always say it's close to 48 minutes, because, you know, the other teams in the NBA, doesn't matter what the record is, and they're going to go on spurts, or they're going to go on runs. But you can't start the game, for sure, giving confidence to your opponent. And everything that happened to us to start the game, we literally went over and emphasized and shoot around. Our guys knew it. But we didn't decide to do it until the end of the first. And by the end of the game, everybody on their team was confident because they saw how easy the ball can go in the hoop. And so now it's hard to turn the water off. And so again, I will never say for 48 minutes. Well, I'll try to never say for 48 minutes. That's a wish. It's like when when you're asking Santa for a lot of stuff that you know you can't get. You know, okay. But I always try to say as close to 48 minutes as possible, because usually the great teams are the ones that do it more than the other teams. And we have talent, we have ability. I love our team, but we have to get to the point where we're not putting ourselves in a hole because we're easing into a game. And that's all that was against the Nuggets.
You mentioned that trying to clean that up and how a lot of it will fall on you and having to find ways to do it beyond film and walkthroughs. Is there added emphasis when you're going through practice now when you have moments like that?
Yeah, the reality of it is, it starts with me, it ends with me, but Fox has to step up. He's a great player, on the verge of being a superstar. And there are those guys, and there are the superstars that win at a high level. And part of his responsibility, starting with him, it doesn't excuse Domas, but doesn't excuse DeMar, That doesn't excuse Malik and even Keegan at a young age. Doesn't excuse everybody. But you have a lot of responsibility if you're that guy, and he's that guy. And he can't be a part of not being locked in. And he for damn sure can't be a part of letting it go if we're not as a team. And so the pressure is on me, and the pressure is on him to go get it done.
Speaking of superstars, the last time you guys played the Lakers, I think LeBron had 16 in the fourth quarter. What type of a version do you think you're going to get from him and this team over the next few days?
I mean, you gotta ask him. I don't know. You know, obviously, you know, we hope he doesn't score 16 in the fourth. Hopefully, we can. You know, you're not going to stop a great player, but hopefully you could slow him down. But I mean, he's a great player for a reason. That's won a lot of championships. That question's for him. I hope he says, you know, he doesn't want to play.
Those things you just mentioned about De'Aaron, I'm sure you have the same conversations with him. How have you seen him be receptive to those and respond to?
He's great. I mean, he gonna look you in the eye, and he gonna take it, and he's gonna try to respond. And that's also what a superstar does too. You know, because if I can coach, at the end of the day, if De'Aaron don't want me to be here, I'm not gonna be here, man and ladies. Sorry.
No.
Okay. All right. I understand this is a players' league, but the same breath, that's what the chance that I gotta take, not only push him but everybody else, but especially him. Because if I can push him and he responds to it the right way, okay, he allows me to coach them. Then when I coach anybody else, it ain't much to say, because I'm going at him more than I'm going at the other 16, 17 players on the team.
Anything else, Coach? Thanks, everyone.